All right, we got a 2016 Ram 2500 Laramie with a sport package and Cummins turbo diesel 6.7 liter. We're looking at the Kleinn Air Horns Ram HD train horn system. This is a 100% bolt-on onboard air and train horn system. I got all the parts laid out here, and always what I do first after I open up the box, pull the parts out, make sure I have everything. So they have a complete list here of everything that they've sent, from wires, relays, wire connectors, fuses, the air fittings with the pressure sensor, got your hardware packs with some open wiring loom, got your air hose, your brackets, and we have the brackets in the back here for the tank and the horns, and we got some of the support brackets for the horns. Got our solenoid for the horns, and of course we got our air compressor here with our air compressor hardware, including the filter. Now this is the switch they provide for activating the air horn. This is what keys the solenoid, and I actually have the S-Pod system on my truck here. So what I've done is I've gone through the instructions here and the preparing the relay as well as the wiring instructions, and just put together a real general wiring diagram on how I'm going to put this together. The glare there, the S-Pod up here in my center console. I got some lights up front, and so you can see I still got 4 open switches. I'm going to use 2 of the switches for the system, one for the compressor and then one to activate the air horns. This is what it looks like, and you can see where I have my 2 switches wired here and my open switches. So I will be taking actually just the positive terminal for 2 of these relays here. Pretty these are, I highly recommend this for if you're planning on wiring, you know, accessories. It's just really a clean setup. So in the instructions, they start stating that you can install a lot of the equipment on their brackets prior to installing on the truck. So I'm going to start with that. I'm going to install the air compressor, the horns, and the tank all on their respective brackets here. And then that way I can drop all my wires, determine the lengths needed, and then make those attachments while I'm installing them on the frame of the chassis. Alright, we got our horns mounted to our brackets here. And I put this bolt in here because it's going to be difficult to get it in after the horn's mounted to the bracket. And then I got our large and medium horn over here, and I got the hose line connected. That way, you know, it's easier to get connected as you're mounting it there. And then this line here will go to feed the smaller horn, which I will attach after the horns are mounted onto the chassis. Tank has been mounted to its bracket, compressor mounted to its bracket, and alright, so now I'm going to go ahead and put together loom for my wiring. I'm going to go ahead and put it together, leave some slack so I can pull it through from in the hood down to the compressor, tank, and to the horn. And then I'll just cut off whatever excess slack I have there, pull it tight into the hood, and then terminate it at my S-Pod. Alright, I got my wiring loom set up here. The 2 yellows are going to go to my pressure switch. The red is going to my compressor. Got it all installed in the loom they gave us. And then over here, one of the yellows is going to go to the relay, and the other one's going to go to my S-Pod under the hood, and the power cord is going to go to the relay. Alright, I got all my fittings installed on my tank here. We have the drain here. We have a compression fitting. This is going to our compressor. That's what's our inlet. We have another compression here with 1/2-inch hose that I've installed here. That's going to the air horn. And then we have your quick connect air for airing up your tires, your pressure sensor, and then we have your emergency release valve here. I think it's set at like 175 pounds. Safety valve. Alright, I got my air tank all wired up, the pressure sensor wired. They gave you some connectors, but I decided to go ahead and solder them and shrink wrap it. And then we got our red lead here. It's going to go over to our compressor. So I'm going to hook that up after I install the air compressor. That way I'll know how long to create the red wire to our compressor here. So I'm going to go ahead and bolt this thing up, and then we'll move on to putting up the compressor. Alright, I just installed the compressor just down there on the bracket, and the tank, which you can see is a tight fit in here. It actually touches the body in here, and then the bracket's tight up against the frame here. They have a little build out here so that way you can get to these nuts that the actual tank bolts the bracket on. So what I did here is I put this bolt in first on the bracket without the tank on it. Had the bracket lean down so I can get the tank on there because it is such a tight fit. Bolted the tank on, and then push the bracket up and put this bolt in here. Got the solenoid all wired up here. I started it with some harness. I'll continue the harness probably after I mount it and I get my lengths determined. Alright, we got our large and small horn combo here. A little bit of mud on it, just got back from the desert, which also has the solenoid. So we have our solenoid here, which again, the air in the tank is coming across from the tank on the other side. Comes up and comes into the solenoid, and then our solenoid, there's one branch here that feeds the small horn here, and then the branch on the other side actually goes down across to our medium horn here. And you can see this one's mounted up here. And then our wire feed here. So we can get a look. So this is coming out of the solenoid. This goes up back to our switch. So you can see the harness goes back, across, and up to our hoods. Alright, we got our compressor here on its mounting bracket with intakes on this side with a filter. And we have our power and ground and our feed hose, which feeds to our tank. So as they come across, I hooked them up above the body mounts. There's a transition from the compressor feed to the plastic hose. And then I also brought my ground out of the harness here and grounded it off here onto the frame. So the hose continues down and feeds my tank here. The harness stays up top, tight to the frame. See if you can see it here. It continues along the top there and across the frame. On our tank here, this is our outlet, which feeds to our horns. Cross on the other side. And then we have the emergency blow-off valve here in the event that your pressure sensor fails. We have our drain valve, and then we also have our quick disconnect on this side for hooking up a hose to air up your tires with a 90 on it. So at the pressure sensor here, you can see I take the wires and I take them into the harness along with the power cable to the compressor. Goes across the body and up into the hood. So under the hood, you can see I got my harness coming across here from the compressor in the tank. down here, and this is where I mounted my relay here, right next to my battery. And power to the relay here drops down, and then the controls come up to my S-Pod here. So I only need the positive terminals on these since I grounded them on the frame. This one here is for the compressor. This turns on the relay to turn on the compressor, and this one here is for the solenoid for the air horns. So this is what my S-Pod looks like inside my truck. Got a couple lights on here, race radio, got one open switch left, but then I got my air compressor here and my air horn. I did it this way because I like having the option of being able to turn on and off that compressor, so that way when I know I'm not using it, you know, it's not always running off of a powered source off of the ignition. So you know, I can turn it on, and then my horn as well runs from here.